So far in this series of videos, we focused on the development of early or initial ideas into a finished product. This video is all about delivering the final outcome. So it's all about explaining what your design is, who might use it, how they might use it, and what kind of value they're going to get from it.
And convincing somebody else that either they should buy into this product and manufacture yours, or your lecturer that you have done a really amazing job.
Yeah, so it's all about communication and communicating the value and the innovation in your design at the end of the project.
And in this case, a picture really does tell 1,000 words. So using and selecting your images really, really carefully can really enhance that communication aspect. And it leaves nothing untold, so you can really emphasize your design objectives, your usability, the beauty of your form by choosing the right images.
Well, look, I think the best way to start one of these documents where you're explaining the final design is with a value proposition statement. And simply put, the value proposition statement just explains for the viewer the intent of the design and sets out very clearly and succinctly what the design is going to do and why it's beneficial to people. So this example is great because it starts off saying what the product is related to. So in this case, it's cold brew coffee. It makes it clear that it's going to be a collection of products that are going to make the cold brew coffee, but also store it and transport it. So talking about why this is a different and innovative and really exciting design for a potential user.
Fantastic, let's see more.
And so the students are starting by showing their collection of products in the kitchen context. Now that might seem obvious, but it's really important to include some of this context when you show your design so that the viewer can really understand in their mind where they think the product would exist and start to believe some of the promises in the value proposition statement. Then also, so similar to including the image of the kitchen, what's really nice in this image is, although the background is quite plain, the students have shown where the coffee will be placed in the product. So we don't have to try and guess or imagine that.
Yeah.
It's made very clear for us.
And I think what's nice is that we had the hero shot on the previous page, which is kind of the big picture. Let's hear about everything in this design. And now we're zooming into the fine detail.
Yeah.
Because this is something often students will do, is that they will show you the detail that they spent so much time working on, but they forget to show you the big picture.
Yes.
So I like to think of these presentations as being a narrative, a story. You need to tell people the general thing about what's going on, and then you need to move to the detail.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this page is another nice example of simple contextual information. So by showing an image of one of the features of the product collection in a freezer, it helps to communicate to us how this reusable ice block would work. Now what's really great about this page is that the students are adding to the renders of the 3D model some very bold, very obvious arrows. This kind of step-by-step sequence of how the physicality of the product would work or go together is really helpful in communicating to us or communicating to a client or an investor how something might work. It's often easy to forget that viewers who don't understand the design won't have such a clear vision as perhaps you, the designer, would.
Here we have this idea that this really works in a portable element because we can actually brew ahead of time. And we can keep it cold along the way.
Yeah.
So that's really going to be the perfect user experience for
And
this
we
product.
can see how the students are referencing what was probably in their return brief. So they're highlighting the capacity and that it can hold a certain volume of coffee, highlighting the way that it's transportable, which was one of their key objectives in going into the project.
I think this is a really nice image that we have here because we're saying dishwasher safe, but here are all the components when they're separated, exactly how you put them in the dishwasher. So So that's a feature, but also it's telling that story at the right point in the presentation.
Yeah. What's great about this page is that it's showing the final design in alternate colorways or kind of material combinations. And it's amazing how much showing those alternate versions of the product can help a viewer to really believe that it can exist on a shelf alongside products that already exist.
I think too, having alternative colorways means that you can appeal to that emotive element of color and material that can be so personal. So somebody, the viewer, the audience, or lecturer can find something that really appeals to them, even if they might not like your initial color choice.
And I think as a final note, it's always good to finish any kind of presentation, whether that's a verbal presentation or just in a document, with a really strong image that summarises what the product is, where it's used and who it would be used by. This is a great example because again, we're in the kitchen, we can see the type of kitchen, so it's very aspirational, and we can see the type of person who might use it.
The other thing is the conclusion of any presentation is the thing that people remember the most. That is the thing that they take away from your presentation, the last thing you said. So you'll often find questions people want to ask you are about the last thing you said. If you finish on a really fantastic hero image like this one, then you really can answer any of those questions and you've got a great summary of your product.
Absolutely. So in summary, the deliver phase is all about communication. It's all about explaining to the target market or to your lecturers, most importantly, what the design is and why it's really good. The value proposition is a great way to start that because it forces you to put in simple terms what you've designed and why it's going to be really successful. Now, when you are actually representing the product, it's really important to have a narrative and start with the very broad message of what it is, and then gradually add in more of the details. So start with what it is, who would use it, how they use it, and then eventually you would talk about all the clever nuances of the design that you've probably worked a long time to complete. So that brings us to the end of this series of videos. I hope you found them helpful, informative. We'd like to think that they'll be valuable for your studies, but also going forward into your professional life.
So we've seen that the design process can be split into 4 areas. We're not saying that this is a recipe for success, but we're saying that following these 4 kind of areas and key objectives of why you do different tasks in each area will lead to hopefully a really successful end solution of your design process. So we've seen that the discover phase is about defining what you need to do, how you can look at your research and how you can analyse some of that research about the design problem and the product you're designing. We've seen that the define phase is about stating what am I going to focus my energy on, and that kind of builds on that first phase of discovery. The development phase describes the stage where you refine your design, so really getting into the nitty-gritty of things. And we spent quite a lot of time looking at layout drawings, exploded views, concept development sketches, prototyping. Really probably spent a lot of energy on that. But that doesn't mean that the other 2 phases are not equally as important. And finally, we have the deliver phase where we found out how to really sell our idea by matching our design objectives to our final solution.
So we hope you've enjoyed watching. Good luck with your design.
Happy design.